Welcome to A Nice Place to Podcast, a City of Fountain Valley podcast. Join us each month as we discuss all topics, fun, informational, and educational, that's related to Fountain Valley. We appreciate your support and thank you for watching.
Hello, and welcome back to A Nice Place to Podcast, episode number 11. I'm your mayor and host, Glenn Grandis, and I'm happy to introduce our guest speaker for today, the Fountain Valley City Manager, Maggie Lee. Welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to go ahead and congratulate you and Vice Mayor Ted Boy for the re-election. So we look forward to continue to serve you.
Oh, well, appreciate that. That was nice. Thank you. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of what was your journey like? How did you come to become a city manager? What are your initiatives for 2025? And what were some of the major achievements this past year? So let's start with, first up, who is Maggie Lee? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yes, Mayor. Myself, I actually lived at the corner of Euclid and Edinger back in 1986. And I am very fortunate to graduate from Los Amigos High School, class of 96, Go Lobos. So after graduating from Los Amigos High School, I went to Cal Poly Pomona, majoring in business administration, emphasis in international business and marketing management. From there...
So what you're saying is you're an overachiever.
Just a tad bit.
I like it. Okay. All right, keep going. What else?
And as I was wrapping up my undergrad work, I needed an internship. So I was fortunate enough to get a volunteer internship at the U.S. Department of Commerce in Newport Beach. That is probably the first round where I get exposed in local government in general.
Right.
And so I was a little bit fascinated by it. And so thereafter, I did an internship at the city of Santa Ana, a paid internship, before I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona. And fortunate enough, I received additional experience and my first full-time opportunity with the city of Brea. And I was there from 2001 until 2008. And then I moved on to the city of Buena Park.
Oh, I didn't know that you were with Buena Park too?
Yeah, I was at Buena Park. So I had an opportunity to work on economic development and work closely with Knott's Berry Farm and so forth. And then moved on to the city of Placentia and then the city of Chino, and then fortunate enough to have an opportunity to come back to Fountain Valley under Bob Hall leadership. And I was very fortunate.
So Bob Hall was?
The city manager. At
the time, okay.
Back in 2015. I was very fortunate to have the ability to work under his leadership and with the guidance of city council back then. And I have to admit, Fountain Valley is the first community where, I had high respect for elected official because of the volunteerism and the time that elected official put into this community from, starting on an event early in the morning to completing it at, 11 p.m. Right. It was very rare. So that really, motivate me and have that drive to really be in Fountain Valley.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So what was your role when you first joined Fountain Valley? What were you doing?
I came to Fountain Valley as an assistant to city manager. Bob Hall at that time had modified the job opportunity, put a lot of emphasis in economic development. During that period, Fountain Valley did have some financial challenges and so forth. And Bob, coming from Huntington Beach with development experience and so forth, he recognized in Fountain Valley, because we're a residential community, it would be good to put a little bit of time and effort into economic development to attract businesses to Fountain Valley so that we can generate new revenues. And so being an assistant to the city manager in the city manager's office, I have the opportunity to work in a breadth of different projects, the sales tax initiative in 2016, and we're very fortunate.
It looks like now every city is looking to do that, or most are.
Correct. And, Fountain Valley is one of the few cities that recognized and saw that vision to provide fiscal sustainability for the community. And not that many cities back in 2016 have any sales tax initiative, and it was not an easy path for Fountain Valley and a few other cities back then.
Right.
And so we were fortunate to have great community champions to go behind that and support, leadership at that time to get that to the finish line. And we're still very fortunate until today with all the sales tax revenue that the city received and will continue to receive until 2037. So great job by our leadership and so forth. And it's a blessing to have that sales tax initiative in place.
So what other things were you responsible for back then?
I think when I first joined, it was interesting because I didn't expect to put a lot of time and effort into the community engagement as part of the sales tax initiative. So we actually did a total of 40 community workshops during that period. And then other aspect that I was responsible was legislative. And so working on legislative platform, working on variety of bills, support, oppose, and then a special project comes and go. And then thereafter, I end up having an opportunity to be an interim HR director when City Manager Bob Hall was on his way out. And so that gives me a lot more exposure to understand the organization, and it created more opportunity. And then I became a deputy city manager, and thank you to City Council to give me the opportunity to be today as the city manager of Fountain Valley.
Well, I have to say, our city council, that was probably the best decision we've made on my 4 years here. So let's talk about the city manager position for a second. I love to explain this, but I'm going to let you do it this time because not everybody knows, like, what is the city manager? Like, what is that position?
Well, the city manager is a very tough position. First of all, we have to work with at least 5 bosses, depending on the community. And so it's very, it's key for the city manager to be able to work independently with the individual city council and try to help support as much as we can in regards to the collective majority of city council on interests or policy that is good for the community.
All right, well, let's take a step backwards because what I would think people want to know is they think of about like a corporation and how that works. So what would be like the equivalent position of a city manager in a company?
A city manager is equivalent to a CEO of a corporation. And so for a city manager in the city of Fountain Valley, the city manager actually oversee 8 departments, including the police chief, the police department, and also the fire department. Fountain Valley is a unique community as well. We're a full service community. Not many cities out there that have both the fire and police department in-house. And so in addition to that, of course, there's many other departments from HR to IT to community development, finance, community services, city clerk. And so the city manager responsibility is to oversee all of those departments to ensure that the city operations are moving forward smoothly as much as possible. And also, to serve city council, to serve the community as a whole. And a city manager definitely has to have the ability to build relationship and to be able to really unite the community to come together and focus on the priority and what is best for Fountain Valley, a nice place to live.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of responsibility. I think what people don't realize, you mentioned the CEO. So basically, president, CEO, and then all of your department heads would be in a corporation. That would be the VPs. Mm-hmm. So you're basically the person in charge of the city. As the mayor, a lot of people think the mayor is not really. So if you think of a corporation, the council's like the board of directors, and the mayor's the chair of the board. But the person who runs day-to-day, full-time, in charge of the city is you as president, CEO, city manager. So big responsibility for sure.
Yes, it is. And thank you so much, May, for recognizing that. And yes, our elected official are like board of directors, and city council sets policy, and then the city manager would implement those policy. And yes, we do run the day-to-day operation of the community.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility, and you do a tremendous job. We're thankful for that.
Thank you.
So tell us about your core values. Like, what's important? What's the core values of Maggie Lee?
The core value for me definitely is good work ethics, integrity, trust, and really being fiscally responsible. Especially,
I know that. Yeah, you've told us many times. No, you guys can't spend money on that, and that's good.
Yeah, and definitely excellent customer service, concierge customer service, as fire chief referenced on a regular basis.
Right.
I really believe that we have to be able to provide good customer service to serve our community. That's our job, and so those are very high priority for myself, and I think my executive team, carries that as well.
Okay. All right. So in terms of achievements for this year, so I set out for 4 goals: community engagement, innovation, fiscal responsibility, and embracing diversity. So how do we do?
I think we did a fantastic job. I have to say, I have to have my cheat sheet with me right here because we accomplished so much in 2025. What I want to highlight is the opening of our Central City Navigation Center.
Right.
That was a huge project for us, especially the unhoused population. We have an increase in unhoused population with the opening of the Central City Navigation Center. We had 13 beds dedicated for Fountain Valley. And the cost to operate it is substantial, but we have a tool. We have a tool to work with our unhoused population to provide that service, that resource for them to really, to continue to provide that quality of life for our community as a whole. We were able to, do our inaugural State of the City that focus on Lunar New Year and being inclusive and embracing diversity. And that was a huge success for us as an organization, us as a community. And we were also able to raise $11,000 and provide it back to our Kiwanis, who provides those funds back into our community. So that is one of our proud moments as well.
That was really good. It was a great event. Everybody was like, wow, what a step up over what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
And that was your leadership. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And then we also did not have any cyber attacks. Thanks to City Council, thanks to your leadership, our IT director were able to upgrade all of our infrastructure. In the last year, we heard so many cities, so many corporations that had hacks and so forth. And knock on wood, our IT department, our IT director, with your support, were able to, mitigate all of that, and we have not had any cyber attacks. So that's very innovative, from your vision and our focus in ensuring that, our technology, our infrastructure is strong enough to protect everything that we have in an organization. I have to say, I have to thank the City Council as well and your leadership in regards to our engagement team. City Council yourself were able to support programs and projects that allow our employees to better ourselves, providing, our 410 schedule, our leadership program, so that we can retain and attract quality employees. Fountain Valley, since we're a residential community, and we are unable to compete with those large communities such as Anaheim, Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, who have car dealership, who has Disneyland, who has beach, hotels, and all stuff. So we have to put a lot of our energy and effort in areas, perks that we're able to, compete in some fashion. So we really appreciate that from City Council standpoint. And oh my God, universal accessible playground. Wow, that's historic.
It was that. I think that's one of the best features of the year, the universally accessible playground, where everyone can play together.
Yes.
Tell us more about that. How did that come about? Like, how did we get funding for that?
Well, first of all, it's a vision from, our community itself. It's been an over 10 years vision, and under your leadership, we were able to march forward. And then, the project cost approximately $1.7 million. And we got really creative. And talked to our legislature. And so we received $1 million from our Assemblyman Tree Tall. And then we have our Congresswoman, Michelle Steele, another $500,000. And then on top of that, we have our Fountain Valley Community Foundation, who donate over $100,000 to the project in itself. And donors like yourself, regular citizens in our community who contribute toward that project because it was important. It was important for our community, not only just our community, but for the region. And so it was historic.
Yeah, I think the best part about that is, as you mentioned, it was from the federal level, from the state level, from the city, from the nonprofits in the city to our regular residents who all came together to make that happen. A great achievement.
Yeah. And it's available, so anyone can have access and play on it today and beyond.
Exactly.
So that's very exciting. And another one is the approval of general plan update. It was a 3 years project. And so, we're able to get that to the finish line. And now we have a 20-year vision of what to expect in Fountain Valley. And so we lay out the foundation. So that's a big project in it.
So what's included in the general plan? What are some of the areas that are included?
Are you talking about specific opportunity sites?
Like the housing,
Yeah.
not just in general. So it's not the general plan. What makes up the general plan?
The general plan includes opportunity for economic development, opportunities for parks and housing development due to the state mandated RENA number and so forth. And so it really lays out the foundation of, what we need to do in the next 20 years to ensure that Fountain Valley continue to be a nice place to live. To us, it's probably going to be a great place to live, but our model is a nice place to live.
Right. All right. What about fiscal responsibility?
Fiscal responsibility, we did something different, unique this past year. So we did procure a grant writing consultant. And so that is something unique and different. And we have had success already. We were able to receive funding opportunity over $1 million to offset our general fund expenditure. So, we anticipate there is more opportunities down the road to pursue other, grant opportunity from the federal, from the state, private entities or, other avenue that we don't have to tap into our general fund. We can prioritize, other projects if we were unable to support because, we're limited in what we can do to ensure that we have a balanced budget.
So you mentioned you hired a grant writer company. That's something unique, I think. I don't remember us doing that in the past. And what were the biggest successes of that?
I think the biggest success of the Townsend project, of course, is we are slated for $5 million for our future fire station number 1. So that is very exciting in itself. And, that is one of the proud moments as well because it has been a while since the city acquired property, to build a future fire station number 1. Our fire station number 1, has been in place for at least 30 or 40 years. And so it's time for us to invest in, a facility that will be able to accommodate today's needs and into the future. We will be discussing how we will fund that, but it's very satisfying and gratifying with your assistance and fire chief with Congresswoman Michelle Steele to be able to support us and slated for $5 million. And we intend in the future to continue to pursue so that we will be able to, offset the expenditure associated with the fire station number 1 that would not impact our general fund.
All right, so let's talk about outreach. Mm-hmm. So what areas of outreach were successful this year?
I think what has been successful includes the mayor's message. I think you have done a great job in regards to, every 2 weeks providing an update and what to expect in the upcoming city council meeting and recap of, what had transpired the last council meeting. And then the mayor's breakfast, we have a variety of speakers
We had some good ones this year.
Yes, we sure do. So, it's very exciting to be able to, include, 211 speaker who provide resources to the community in general. And I don't think many people know those services that's available for them. And then I think you had, wasn't it like...
we had Chief Ishii.
Yes.
We had UCI Health, I think. We had some good ones this year.
Yeah. The mayor did invite our interim police chief before he starts, to do a breakfast. So that was an interesting day, but he did fantastic. So
he did.
So that was great. We have...
what other outreach activities were...
I think one big one was the unhoused town hall meeting. Definitely this year we had an increase in our point-in-time count. And so a lot of the community were a little bit concerned because it's very obvious that, we have more unhoused individual in Fountain Valley in general. And so through variety of feedback and concern that was shared to the mayor and city council, we were able, with your leadership, to put together a town hall meeting that was very successful, was very informative, because the community didn't know that there was a lot of activity that the city were doing in addition to, the service provider that help us to connect with the unhoused population, to provide resources for them to transition to resources. And so that was a big one. And I think the community truly appreciate your leadership and bringing city staff team together to provide the facts.
Right.
And so once we were able to share what we've been doing in the last year, the community understand and appreciate the work that was behind it. And we continue to do it until today. And I think there's more opportunity for us now that, the Supreme Court allows the city to exercise our anti-camping. And our, Special Operation Bureau is doing a fantastic job so far in October. And, in the last 2-3 weeks, we have a lot of success stories.
Yeah, we do. That is good news. Yeah. All right, let me jump back to fiscal responsibility a little bit because I think we kind of glossed over that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about, how is the city financially? How are we doing with our reserve accounts? Maybe give us a high level of where we are.
From a high level standpoint, in the last few years, we have successfully have a balanced budget with millions of surplus. And then in addition to that, we are being recognized by GFOA. I don't know the acronym, but yeah, the city has been successful in receiving it in the last few years. This year specifically, which we will take it to the city council on November 19th to recognize our finance team because our finance team put in variety of policy to ensure that our financial position will remain strong. So that has been fantastic. Internally, our team as a whole, we consistently evaluate our expenditure, finding ways that we can go ahead and reduce certain areas that, we may have not focused in regards to, a small amount here and there, but it all adds up. For example, in IT, we have contracts out there or service line that's no longer used. We're able to eliminate those.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And what about our reserve accounts?
Our reserve is pretty strong. I think with our new reserve policy in place, we are maintaining ourselves at least 20% of our expenditure. And so we are actually at that or a little bit above.
So we fully funded all of our reserve accounts?
Mm-hmm. Thank you to our finance director.
Yes.
Giving him some credit.
I have to say, when you have a strong leader, you have a strong leader because of strong department heads.
Yes.
And I think this is our executive team is, well, I'll let you talk about them.
Oh, I'm proud of my executive team. Everyone worked very collaboratively, and I think one of the philosophy or one of the first conversations I have with my team is, I'm hiring a department head for your expertise. I'm not hiring anybody to just come into the organization and just say yes. I'm hiring executive leaders that I want to hear your true experience and expertise so that we collectively can come together and, serve the community to the best of our ability. And so I'm very proud of my executive team. I will continue to say I'm proud, and I will continue to build a strong team to ensure that we provide the best interests for Fountain Valley as a whole.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're proud of our executive team too, and we're very proud of our city manager. You really have done a tremendous job. Let's talk about 2025. I can't believe it's going to be 2025 already.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, really. So tell us, what are some of your goals for 2025?
I think based on the community in itself, we will continue to strive to be creative in bringing in new revenue for the community. So, we will continue to work with our grant writing consultant to pursue funding, especially for our future fire station. That project in itself, I think, will be substantial. And in order for us to, move in the right direction, that will be an area that we will put a lot of energy and effort toward.
Okay.
We do have 2 new housing development. They submitted application right now. And so we're going through that process. And so as everyone know, Euclid and Hyle is one of our big development in Fountain Valley. And we also have the former Boomer site, Holland. And we encourage the community to be engaged, to be involved, and provide feedback and learn about the project in itself as we move forward from a community standpoint. And then we also have a park master plan. That's going to be huge for the community. And so
what's a park master plan? Explain that to the audience.
So park master plan, basically we assess all the parks in the community in itself, and then we will have community workshop to learn from the community. What would you like to see in those parks? The biggest park that we have in Fountain Valley is our sports park, the Maya Square Park, the Sports Park Recreation Center is where we lease from the county. And that's where all of our major activities transpired. And that's where our community comes together. It's our gathering place. And so
that's Brookhurst and Hyle, just to be clear. So if you pay for parking, that's the county side. That's not us. If it's free parking, that's the easy
us.
way to remember.
We're taking care of our community.
There you go. So
go ahead.
At the next city council meeting, I understand we can't talk about it now, but big news coming at the next city council meeting.
Yes, our My Square Park lease actually expired as of March of 2023, and we have been re-engaged with county staff to renew our lease for another 50 years.
Right.
And in addition to that, there are conversations that we will have an opportunity to expand.
Oh, you're going to talk about it. Okay. I was going to keep it on the QT. But
yeah.
All right.
We will have an opportunity. Currently, we have 78 acres with the existing lease, and the county is embracing because our elected official have asked for additional acreage and they are open to the concept. So on November 19th, our team will bring before City Council the Mayo Square lease renewal for your consideration and approval. And within that, we do have additional acreage for the community.
All right.
And that will be incorporated.
You're hearing it here first. This is a scoop. I like it.
It will be incorporated in our park master plan, so the community will be able to be engaged and provide feedback what they would like to see potentially with those additional acreage.
Okay, and this is the area of the Mile Square Golf Course that closed.
Yes.
That is adjacent to where our sports park is today.
Yes. So we're excited.
All right, so what other goals do you have for 2025?
Well, as you know, this has been a passion, I think, for all of our executive team is really to evaluate and assess best practice and trends, especially when it comes to employees' attraction and retention. And so, we feel like, we've done a lot in the last year with regards to our engagement team. And I think there are opportunities in the next year to, elevate it a little bit. And our end goal is to really attract the best quality. We don't want to settle in Fountain Valley. And we also want to, once we recruit the best quality candidates, we want to have the ability to retain them.
Right.
So, we need to continue to focus with the support of the elected official, my city council, is to ensure that, outside of, salary and benefits, what else can we do that, is important to today candidates? And so that definitely will be our continued effort and making sure that, we recognize what those trends are and that how that will positively impact our organization.
Tell us, what impact, what stamp do you want to leave as the city manager for the city of Fountain Valley?
Definitely what I really want is to ensure that our community understand that we want to engage the community. We want to be able to listen to our community. We want the community to know that we're here to serve them because that's our job, and that no matter how different our opinions are, at the end of the day, it's our job to give our best and also to ensure that we are serving based on what is important for the majority of the community. And so we are not leaving anybody behind. We will be here to listen, their concern and so forth. And if we're able to solve them, we will do our best. And if there's limitation, any challenges and so forth, we'll find creative ways to see if there's resources around out there that would be able to help us to really serve our community. So before we kind of end or get off track in regards to community engagement, don't forget our podcast, right? This is where everything happens and where all the information coming from the mayor to our community. And it has been very beneficial. This is the 11th episode. And so every single chapter, every single series has been very educational and very entertaining.
Well, I hope so. Well, with that, this being the last podcast of the season, I want to give a special thank you to Megan Wishner, who has done literally a fantastic job with this. Try reining me in and getting me to stay on track. And
someone has to do that.
Besides my wife, Mary, who is really good at that. But Megan has done just a tremendous job. And we want to thank Megan for sure for, this was her idea.
Yes.
And I thought it was really well received by the community. And like you said, we had some fun and we learned something. And that's what it's all about.
And podcast is definitely the new trend, and that we do see more. The ICSC now is rolling out a podcast as well. So this is very exciting. It's great to see our community on that platform of recognizing the trend and moving toward innovative ways of, connecting to our community and so forth. So thank you. And of course, thank Megan for making it work behind the scene and so forth.
Absolutely. All right. So next season, if there's a subject matter for a podcast that you would like us to cover, reach out to us. Our email is fvproud@fountainvalley.gov. All right, Maggie. So thank you again for joining us on this episode number 11 of the season of our first year of the Nice Place to Podcast.
Thank you, Mayor. And of course, I want to thank all our city council, my bosses, and also the community as a whole to be there to support me and allow me to serve our great community. And it's been a privilege and an honor. So thank you so much.
Once again, we're lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So as we wrap up the final episode of season number 1, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the podcast. It's been my pleasure as the mayor and as the host to lead this new venture that we have, A Nice Place to Podcast. We really hope that you found it informational, beneficial, and a little fun at times. So, all right, so stay tuned for season number 2. We're going to have a brand new host. And for the final time this season, I'm your host and mayor, Glenn Grandis. Thank you for tuning in to A Nice Place to Podcast. Take care, everyone.